Welcome to the Unlist. First new video of 2024. And yes, I am back on my BS. The first new video is about a topic that no one is going to touch in this online fragrance community. No one but me. I told you I wasn't going to back away from these controversial subjects, so I meant that. Okay, I walk the walk. I don't just talk a good game. Okay, I play a good game too. Thus, confirmation bias will be the first video of this channel for 2024. Now, what does confirmation bias have to do with fragrances or the online fragrance community? Well, everything, quite frankly, everything. Because fragrances are made to cater to confirmation bias. Marketing for those fragrances is also made to pander to the confirmation bias. The influencers and content creators that make money passively off of your viewership also create content that serves the confirmation bias. Okay? And thus, people like me, who exist only to poke and prod, who exist only to challenge, to inform, to leave things as neutral as possible, you know, and let God sort it out, so to speak. Not that I'm a faithful man, I'm not a man of religion, but still, I use the phrase. People like me are aberrations. We are blights upon this system of exploiting the craving one has for the familiar. For that is what confirmation bias is. Confirmation bias is a bias towards confirmation. Confirmation of what, you may ask? Well, things you already believe, things you already think you know to be true. Your tastes, your political views, everything. People naturally have a tendency to move towards things that validate them, that engender that mental safe space, that security blanket, that create a peace of mind. It is a survival mechanism that we have had for time immemorial, okay, since we were banging rocks together and living in caves, starting fires with twigs in the woods and hunting whatever was living back then, okay? Humans are curious creatures, okay, don't get me wrong. We do like to learn new things, and we do like to experience things that challenge us, that inform us in ways we weren't before. But this is secondary. Curiosity is secondary to our craving for confirmation. It is corroboration first, curiosity second. Only once we have been satisfied with the familiar, we have been coddled and protected and feel safe and secure, that's when we become curious. That's when we seek out the new things from a place of safety. Okay? So, therefore, 9 times out of 10, if you want to maximize your returns on anything, you will do what has already been done before in a way that is only slightly different from the previous guy. I know, that's a mind blower, right? Your mind is blown. Oh, wow, it's all coming together now. It's like a big puzzle in my head, you know? Everything is designed to be just like what you already knew and already liked. It's only a little bit different. And it's not a new concept. It's not something that has been designed by AI. Okay, we've been doing this for centuries. So why would the internet be any different? Okay, the internet only moves more quickly than history previously did. That's all. Things now happen much faster because of the exchange of information, because of the internet, because of telecommunications. All right. So, but the process has not changed. All right, has not changed. So, your confirmation bias drives you towards things that you already know. Confirmation bias is what gets people to join political parties. It's what gets them to join religions, to attend church, to attend rallies, okay? So it's no different for fragrances. You step into an online fragrance community already knowing you like this, that, and the other. You already know you like Dracar Noir, or that you like Aventus, or that you like whatever. So when you first step into the fragrance community, you're trying to meet what? like-minded individuals. You're not trying to meet people different from yourself. You're trying to meet people who are just like you. Where it gets toxic, and this is what I've said before, where it gets toxic is where you fail to have enough self-awareness to realize what you're doing, to not be aware of your actions. You know, the people who create these cloisters where it's only vintage fragrances, or it's only naturals, or it's only expensive things like Raja Dove, or it's only compliment getters like Invictus or whatever. And anyone who is not of the flock gets put to the cross and burned at the stake, right? That weird religious, sectarian, tribal mentality where if you belong to the congregation, you're cool, but if you're other, then you must be persecuted, pariahed out, ostracized, destroyed, threat neutralized. That's where it gets a little weird and cringy for me. And I see that kind of extremism all the time in the fragrance community. I've made videos about it, right? I've talked about the gatekeepers. I've talked about these folks, all right? I've talked about the ones who get in there and say, you're not allowed to like this thing because it's not the thing I like. And if you don't conform to my standard, you'll be punished by my wrath. I will bear down on you, okay? The violent, the militant, okay? That is what happens when confirmation bias is let out of hand to get out of control. When a person is not aware of their own confirmation bias, when a person is not aware of their own inclination towards this or towards that, when they mistake that bias for some wider, unilaterally applied truth of some sort. You know, what is for me is also for thee, basically. And you don't have a choice in the matter. I will force it upon you. Because I've gained myself the authority to do so, to tell you what's right and what's wrong for you. Okay? So, it gets kind of silly, right? It gets a little bit silly. But it can all be traced back to that confirmation bias, which in and of itself is neutral. Because like I said, it's a natural inclination that we have towards the safety of the familiar. So you first enter the fragrance community, you love green fragrances. That's your confirmation bias. You want to seek out more green fragrances. You discover that the things you like about them are certain facets, like lavender and geranium and tonka and oak moss, that comprise the genre of fougere. That's your discovery. That's where you move away from the familiar. You've learned why it is you like the thing you like. Oh, these green fragrances, they're called fougeres? Cool. So now you've taken a step away from the familiar. So you join a fougere fragrance group on Reddit or Facebook or Base Notes or wherever. And you begin to explore fougeres. You become, quite frankly, obsessed with fougeres. All you want are fougeres. Old fougeres, new fougeres, fresh ones, aromatic ones, barbershop ones, expensive ones, cheap ones, doesn't matter. You want fougeres. Fougeres, fougeres, fougeres. Yummy, yummy, yummy in your tummy. It's what you want. That's the confirmation bias right there, pulling you towards the familiar thing, the thing you know is good. Somebody with a channel dedicated to nothing but fougeres. Let's make up a YouTuber who doesn't exist. Fougere Bro 101, okay? He doesn't exist. Fougere Bro 101. All his videos are fougeres. You begin watching his content religiously because you love fougeres, and all he does is videos on fougeres, correct? Well, guess what? He introduces you to a fougere that's not like any other fougere you've ever smelled, made by a perfumer that you've never known about prior. You become so enamored with that fougere because of how unique it is compared to all the others you've smelled. Even though it's familiar because it's a fougere, okay, it's so unique and different, and it titillates you in a way that you've never experienced before, you begin to move away from the confirmation bias and towards the strange once again. So then you're like, this perfumer, what else has he done? So you begin looking into other perfumes made by this perfumer. it no longer matters whether they're fougères or not, does it? It just matters that this perfumer has made them. So you begin looking into this perfumer's body of work. Suddenly you are exposed to a whole new world, right? Cue the Disney theme, you know, whole new world like from Aladdin, okay, of fragrances. But you're still operating on the confirmation bias of this perfumer is good. My inclination towards trusting this perfumer is where my head is at. But you get exposed to all these new and strange things. Almost paradoxically exposed to new and strange things because of your confirmation bias, trying to keep you in a safe lane, a lane of peace of mind for you. But once the door is cracked open and a foothold gets in, it's a whole new world once again, to quote the song. So you see, in that specific instance, confirmation bias can be a good thing, because it can sometimes, as I said, it can paradoxically, oxymoronically, or however, in an almost contradicting fashion, confirmation bias can actually lead you toward discovery, can lead you towards things that you would have maybe never sought out on your own. Because in your quest to find the familiar, in your quest to stay in your lane, you end up changing lanes entirely by accident. But it's a growth moment for you. It's a moment of self-actualization, of agency, of realization. You become a more independent person. Where confirmation bias is obviously negative, it's what I already said. When it's allowed to fester and concentrate and distort your worldview. When you become so obsessed with the familiar that anything that's not familiar becomes dangerous. You become xenophobic, and eventually you become xenopathic. You attack the strange, seek to destroy the strange. You seek to correct. You seek to impose fidelity upon others, fidelity to your mindset, to your worldview. You know, a lot of very dangerous concepts have come about because of confirmation bias, okay? I don't need to tell you, world history proves it. But in a much smaller, narrower space, like online fragrance community, confirmation bias can be useful, but it can also be dangerous. All I present to you with this video is to learn what it is and to learn when you're in control of it or it's in control of you, my friend, okay? Now, let me give you an example. All things that profit from confirmation bias are geared towards exploiting and expanding it. Algorithms on social media to feed you more of what it thinks you already like. Your YouTube feed, your Instagram feed, all of these things are expertly designed to exploit your confirmation bias against you. And that is why, if you have an Instagram and you post a picture of a well-known popular fragrance, like let's say you post a picture of Polo by Ralph Lauren, you know you're going to get 100 likes at least on that. You're going to get a dozen comments or more on that. Even with a small account, you can only have like 1,000 followers and you will get 100 likes on a picture of Polo because it's a very well-known fragrance. It is a known quantity. People will go, yeah, I know that fragrance. I like that fragrance. Let me tell you all about my experience with that fragrance. You connect to people. Confirmation bias, okay? People are more inclined to interact with something that they know and they like. But then you go posting this fragrance right here, this Cordovan by Avon, released in 1982. Few know about this and few care. So when you post this, people will just flip on by it. They won't even stop to read what you wrote. They might look at the picture and go, I don't know what that is, and they're going to move on. It almost doesn't even matter if it's Avon or not. It's not the brand anymore. It's the unfamiliarity of the bottle, of what it is. So you're going to get like 15 likes on that. You're going to get like maybe one comment, if any. And you're going to waste your time. And see, this is the danger also of confirmation bias, is people who are making content, like reviewers, like influencers, they want their platforms to grow. They want to have a wider audience because then they can monetize, they can make money, they can make a career of sorts out of doing this. So they can't do videos like this one. They've got to do top 10 lists because everyone likes those. They've got to talk about the same 3 blue fragrances for the past 15 years. Bleu de Chanel, Sauvage, Versace Dylan Blue, okay, Aventus, until they are blue in the face, pun intended, because it gets clicks, it gets subscribers, it gets likes, generates the ad revenue, they can be successful. You're not going to have the guy with 50,000 followers on Instagram posting an image about Avon Cordovan. Doesn't matter if it's a $500 bottle or a $1,000 bottle. No one knows what it is. Unless Avon sponsors them. We're going to give you money if you put this on your page. Then sure. Sure, absolutely. At that point, it doesn't matter if it gets 15 likes or 1 comment. They've gotten paid to put it up. So if they can't make the money off the confirmation bias, they can't make the money off the known popularity of the fragrance, they'll make the money directly from the fragrance brand sponsoring them. And that is why the online fragrance community has become such an echo chamber. It's the same niche brands, it's the same best-selling, top-selling designers, it's the same compliment getters, it's the same Prestige, Roja Dove and Creed and Parfum de Marly and MFK. It's the same natural oud attar makers. It's the same 10 vintage fragrances, Antaeus and Koros and whatever else. It's all the same. Because these are people who can't venture outside the known quantity, can't venture outside the confirmation bias, because then they will not be seen. They will not be heard. Once again, my name is Derek. I am the owner of this YouTube channel, and I don't care about any of that. I don't need confirmation bias. I've lived almost my whole life basically alone. Okay, I was always an outcast with what I liked growing up. I remained so through high school and into my adult life. I've learned to enjoy what I enjoy in spite of other people, not because they like it too. So thus, I have nothing to lose, which is why I can make videos about confirmation bias that will get maybe 200 views and 2 comments, and I can also post pictures of obscure Avon fragrances that nobody gives a rat's ass about, because I don't need confirmation bias. I'd like to say that more of you out there are like me, but I have yet to have that proven to me. But I don't need it. Again, not Mr. Congeniality here, but at least all like 5 of you that will take away something from this video will learn that the core, the heart of all this, the thing that can make this fragrance community both a great place to be, but also at times a very bad one, is that human drive to stick with what they know, to stay in that familiar, comfortable place, to be that caveman in the cave with the fire, okay? Not outside in the rain, possibly eaten by a predator, okay? That is why confirmation bias exists. And this has been the On List. Hope you enjoyed watching it.